Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Lurch Franco Wilkes. Welcome back to the Clintonville Slasher, you fucking nerds. Today, I'm going to talk about this film real quick. The Monkey, released this year, February 21st of 2025. Now, the film starts off with a guy named Petey, and he's a pilot, and he goes into this pawn shop, and he gives this monkey to the pawn shop owner, and he says, "Hey, I need you to make this somebody else's problem." Well, the premise of this monkey is that when you wind up its back, this monkey will play the drums, and it'll play the drums until the drum beat stops. And that last drum beat, it's going to kill a random person. So Petey wants to get rid of it. When the shopkeeper, hold on. So before I start all of this, I went too far, but spoiler warnings ahead. I am going to spoil this. So if you have not seen it, turn it off, go watch the movie, come back to it. So yeah, spoiler warning. So after he tries to get rid of the Petey tries to get rid of this toy. I mean, that's like the premise. Like they're like emphasizing, don't call it a toy, don't call it a toy. So he tries to give it away, and when he winds up the guy shopkeeper winds up the monkey and plays his drum beat, and then shoots there's like a old bucket scuba gear mask that has like a harpoon gun on it, and shoots it. It ends up firing and goes through the shopkeeper, and then retracts and pulls his intestines out, and it's super awesome. Well, Petey looks over, sees there's a flamethrower, decides to melt the monkey. So after that, the story kind of takes place in 1997 with Petey's two kids, who has twin sons named Bill and Hal. And Bill ended up going out for a pack of cigarettes, or Petey went out for a pack of cigarettes and never came back. Lois, his wife, is raising their two sons on their own. One night, Lois wants to. She sends in her two sons with their babysitter. Now, what's funny about the babysitter's name is her name is Annie Wilkes. I thought that was really nice hat tip. Obviously, fucking huge fan of Misery. Being a Stephen King adaptation has to be thrown out there. So, Annie Wilkes for life. Anyway, my first punk band ever. So, I was pretty excited about that. So they're sitting at this restaurant place, and the monkey ends up getting its back wound again. And the monkey winds his back, and they're inside. The monkey's in the car, and then there's inside is they're like doing like a sushi restaurant. So they're like chopping up sushi, and he's like making the sushi into hearts. The chef is, and he's kind of flirting with Annie. And at one point he throws it up, and the drum from the monkey hits that last beat, and he ends up slicing her head off. And so they go to Annie Wilkes' funeral. The boys kind of are pretty bummed. And then their mom tells them it's like, everybody passes away, everybody dies. It's not fair. So a little while later, Bill is a pretty big bully to his brother, Hal. They're twins, but Bill is like 3 minutes older than him. So that gives him a right to be an asshole. So he tortures his brother about this, and he gets these girls to end up taking his pants away. They get a bunch of bananas, and a bunch of the school kids smear it on him. Well, Bill goes home, and he's so mad that he winds up the monkey and says, "I want you to kill my brother." When actually what happens when the monkey beats the last drums beat down, their mom has this massive aneurysm and dies. And then the boys get picked up by their aunt and uncle. And their aunt and uncle are like these ridiculously white trash swingers. And they pick them up, and they're like, we're going to do our best, but our best probably isn't going to be enough. And it's really funny. And so they end up going to Maine, and they live there. When Bill, after their mom's funeral, Bill's pretty messed up about it. And he tells his brother, like, I think the monkey did it. I think that when you wind up the monkey, when you wind up the monkey, something happens where it kills somebody randomly. So they thought that maybe if they twisted the key, they could control it. So they twist the key, and their uncle ends up dying. So they decide that this monkey is a curse. We have to get rid of it. So before they left for Maine, Bill had chopped up the monkey, completely chopped him up into pieces. And when he chopped him up, there was like, he was bloody, and he threw him in the garbage, and the monkey came back. Well, this time the boys, after their uncle dies, they put it back in the box they found it in, and they chain it up and they throw it into the well. When you fast forward 25 years later, where Bill and Hal are pretty much estranged, don't even really know each other, the story kind of takes a different turn when it follows Hal around, and Hal is working at a grocery store, and he's basically not wanting to be around family or friends, and he just goes about doing everything he can to pretty much avoid everybody. So he tells his boss he's got to leave. He's going to go see his son. And he had a son, and his name is Petey. So he named him after his father. So Hal goes to his ex-wife's house, and her new husband played by Elijah Wood, which was great. But he's got this like self-help guru kind of books that he's like this expert, and they tell Hal that Elijah Wood's character is going to adopt his son Petey, and that there is no reason for you to come back. So this is the best thing for him. And so Hal gets this kind of like last hurrah with his son, and he wants to take him to this kind of roller coaster place called Horror Mountain, or whatever it was called. And so they stop at a motel, and Bill ends up calling Hal. And Bill hasn't heard from Hal forever. Bill and Hal haven't heard from each other, and he just randomly calls him and says, the monkey is back. You need to vanquish it. And he's like, I don't think you should vanquish it. Well, as they're talking on the phone, there's an air conditioner that falls from the roof, that hits the ground, it sends out a spark, and that spark goes down a wire into the pool. And on the other side where Bill is talking, he's outside, he sees this really pretty girl, and she's about to jump in the water, and he tells her to stop. And when she jumps in the water, she fucking explodes, and it's just fucking breathtaking. After that, Hal freaks out, and he grabs his son, and he's like, well, I'm going to take you home. And, I have to go back, and because that's what another thing that happened. I get that part, but years later in 96, their aunt ends up dying, and she has an estate sale where the monkey's actually sold to a random person. And so that random person ends up having ties to Bill, and that comes later. So after the lady explodes, they like, he's basically like tells his son, like, listen, I can't do this. I have to take you back home. I know it sucks. And he's like, I already know about the adoption, Dad. Like, you want to take me home, whatever. So, but he's doing this family tree. And on the way, he decides to take him to his aunt's house. And on the way there, he asked him if he had a brother and any siblings, and Hal said no. Well, when they get to the house, the real estate agent lady meets him there and says, oh, your brother, this and that. So he kind of knows his dad has been lying to him. When they go through the house, Hal can hear like the monkey music playing every time the key is turned. For some reason, it's like basically this monkey has cursed their family and has taken, this curse. So every time the key is turned, that Hal can hear it. As he's looking for the monkey through the house, he's asking the real estate lady to open the door to a closet, and she kind of fumbles with the keys and opens the door. And when she opens the door, you hear that last drum beat hit, and she opens the door, and the shotgun falls and blows her away, and just all over Hal. He's like spits out her finger. It's just absolutely crazy. And so they end up finding out that there are several after the lady dies and the cops show up. The police inform Hal and his son Petey that there's been several deaths in town where just random things have happened, where people have like gotten run over with a lawnmower, or some lady got bitten in the neck by a king cobra. So they end up finding out that the kid that had bought this monkey from the estate sale was actually tied to Bill, and he gives Bill the monkey, but he wants to keep it because the kid wants to keep it because he thinks that it's like, it reminds him of his dad so much. So as the guys are, Hal and is kind of looking for his brother Bill, he's telling his son that this monkey is evil, and he's telling him that this monkey is fucking evil. Basically, it's the fucking devil. So the kid ends up kidnapping Hal and his son, and takes him to Bill's place. And Bill has been where Bill has like lost his fucking ever loving mind, living in this crazy shit house, and he's just been winding the key to the monkey, just continuously winding it, hoping that it will land on Bill. Or Bill's hoping that it'll land on his brother Hal, because you find out that Hal, when they go into the house, the kid dresses up like a police officer that sold the monkey to Bill. And when he dresses up like the police officer, he pulls out a gun and he tells him, he kidnaps him and takes him over there. And he's like, give me my, get that monkey for me. Well, when his son, Petey, he makes Petey go inside to go confront his uncle. He's telling him, like, don't wind the key up. Don't mess with the key. Don't fuck with it. Don't wind the key up on its back. So he ends up finding Bill, and Bill gives Petey the monkey, and he tells him to wind the key and find out what happens. So he's thinking that if he winds the key up and cranks it over, that it'll kill his brother. Well, it ends up end up killing Bill. And like the monkey ends up like doing this really fast drum beat, and this airplane explodes and hits the ground, and it ends up blowing Bill's. There's like he had like Bill's house is booby trapped with like axes and knives and shit. And like every time you step on a wire, it's gonna like drop an axe somewhere. So it's like his house is booby trapped. And when the drum beat stops, the monkey takes his last drum beat. There is a sword that falls, hits a contraption, and a bowling ball falls inside of a cannon. The cannon falls forward, blows off Bill's head, and the two and Hal and Petey are just left there stunned. They decide to take the monkey with them when Hal tells Petey that this monkey is our curse, it's our family curse and our legacy, and we have to watch it. So at the end, you see a pale horseman ride, the horseman of death, ride across the street and ride down the street. And he kind of Hal kind of ends up looking at him and tells Petey, hey, you want to go dancing? Because that's what my mom's favorite things were to do. So, and then a bus load of school cheerleaders are hanging out the window, and another truck comes by and smashes into him. And that's the end of the movie. So what I got from this is that it was so funny. There was so many good parts in it. The acting was great. The cinematography was awesome. They did a lot of cool camera shots where they like showed you from the perspective of the drumstick hitting, which I really liked. The CGI was great, which I hate CGI. The death scenes were fucking outstanding. I mean, fucking outstanding. They were so good. And it was just an all-around fun movie. Now, the premise of the Pale Horseman riding across the street is that the monkey kind of symbolizes the Reaper, and he's like the living incarnate of the Grim Reaper, and that you can't control death, but the key turner can always survive. Anybody who turns the key can't die. So if you turn the key, you're spared from the monkey's wrath. But the monkey's wrath is completely random, just like death is that it's a metaphor for death. And I really like that. I really thought it was great. And now this was an adaptation of a Stephen King book, and you could find the monkey in a short story that is in The Skeleton Crew, or you could just buy the book itself. I have never read this book. I know the difference between the monkey in the movie and the monkey in the book is that the monkey's chiming. It's like one of those monkeys that have like you wind it up and it has like the wind, the symbols on them, and it chimes together. And so the book is a little bit more serious than the film was, but the film was a lot of fun. I had a great time. The characters are all funny. It's a very, very well-rounded film, and I fucking enjoyed it very, very much. If you are new to the channel, please like, comment, subscribe. I post every Saturday. I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Check out The Monkey and stay horror, you fucking nerds. And we'll see you next Saturday. Later days.